Mbukele Emasontweni ambalwa nje iGoli lizoqopha umlando njengedolobha lokuqala ezwenikazi Afrika ukusingatha iNgqungquthela ye-G20. Izinhloko zemibuso mbukeli kanye nohulumeni abavela emazweni amakhulu kwezomnotho emhlabeni zizobe zihlangene kulelidolobha elizodingingida nokuthola izixazululo ngezindaba zezomnotho nezezimali nokunye mbukeli emhlabeni jikelele. Iyaqala ke mbukeli i-G20 ukuba kulelizwekazi lase-Afrika kanti lokhu kusho ukuthini kithi njengezakhamuzi zaseNingizimu Afrika. Yiziphi mbukeli futhi izinzuzo ezolethwa ukusingathwa kwale ngqungquthela? Eminye yemibuzo mbukeli sobe siyidingida namhlanje ohlelweni Asikhulume Let's Talk. Asikubingelele igama lami ngingubongiwe umakhumalo wakwazwane. Khumbula ke mbukeli ukuthi ungaba ingxenye yalolu hlelo, sishayele ucingo sizwe umbono noma umbuzo wakho inombolo zethu 0117140677. Siyatholakala futhi mbukeli emakhasini ethu okuxhumana ku-X @SABC Izindaba kanye futhi mbukeli sikhona ku-Facebook ikhasi lethu SABC Izindaba ukuze kubelula ke mbukeli qala #Asikhulume #SABC News bese ke ubhala umbuzo noma umbono wakho. Mbukeli, ingabe iyini i-G20 and just how much of it do you understand? I wonder because some of you have been saying to us that you're still trying to understand exactly what is this group of 20 all about. So, hoping tonight that we get to break it down for you. Asamgele ihambele zethu Michael Curran, who is the Deputy Director General at the GCIS, Nosandile Swana, or Independent Political and Governance Analyst. Good evening to you both and thank you so much for your time. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Our viewers often ask, yini G20? What is the G20?
Well, firstly, Bongiwe, it's great to be here, and to the Asikhulume viewers, I'm going to hopefully share with you, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a big thing that sometimes, because it started as a financial platform in the late 1990s, it might seem complicated. But let's see what it's really about in 2025. Over the years, Bongiwe, it's developed into a platform where the decision makers of the world come together annually to look at issues that impact the connected world. You see, we don't live in islands anymore, like two centuries ago. Our economies are connected. So when this G20 started, it was looking at how do we stabilize the markets in the Asian economies that were going through problems in the 90s? You know, money problems, inflation, problems of debt escalation, interest rates. Now, over time, and I'm sure those terms, interest rates, inflation, they mean things to South Africans because we know what they mean. They mean expensive goods. They mean paying more on your bonds. They mean paying more in your grocery basket every month. Over time, all of those things that contribute to your economy, whether it's impacts of agriculture that's going wrong, whether it's climate change that's changing the way in which nations are being able to recover when they've had massive natural disasters, whether it's skills levels of young people in your society. All of those elements have started being added into the G20 over the years. So the G20 is now about coming together on an annual basis to look at things of common interest to nations as we make policies. It's not a rule-binding place, but those common interest things that impact daily lives, like how do you set a monetary policy for a country? And that monetary policy and the way you borrow money and things has fundamental impact on each of us.
So, Mr. Swana, right on that point, there is a viewer who's watching us tonight who says, G20, how does it impact me, my daily life? Because I'm listening to what Michael says. In fact, all the things he talks about are things that we speak about every day, but there are still some South Africans who say, I don't think I'm going to benefit.
Yeah, so the G20 is a forum where basically the most richest countries meet. So, breadwinners.
It's good to know South Africa is among the breadwinners.
Among the breadwinners. So, and the G20 is no longer as such made up of 20 countries. It's 19. Nigeria was the other one. And then South Africa has managed to remain. And the biggest challenge has been the financial systems. So many people still remember the 2008 financial crisis. There were other crises before that expanded the G20. So that actually caused the G20 to be formed. Now, the G20 has become a significant gathering of major countries in terms of trade. By population, they control 66% of the population of the world, 75% of trade, and about 80% of the GDP of the world. So they are not the majority, they are the majority with money. So the decision that when they get together, they are going to decide, okay, how best can we agree to loan money to African countries that are still struggling to develop? What else can we do? So they've got about 15 work streams, okay, covering ICT, agriculture, and everything, because money comes from where it is at. So if we are going to go to any country that is poor and think you are going to borrow money from that country, it's not going to work. The people who borrow money are the ones who borrow money to others are the ones who've got it.
So, Michael, this is not just, and the president has said this so many times, but I want us to break it down, because this is not just the G20 for South Africa. This is about the continent. This is a moment for the continent. And we know how some of the issues that you've just highlighted earlier on also impact the continent. Let's speak about that aspect of the G20.
So Bongiwe, as Sandile was mentioning, you know, we find ourselves in a space where we are a continent of young people. We are a continent, and one of our presidency priorities, for example, is the better use of mineral resources. Now, the world's mineral resources are no longer in the northern economies. They are with us and with our young populations. So the future of the world lies with the developing South. Now, minerals cannot be, remember how we used to do it in our world in the past. We extracted minerals and they went to other countries. Now, these countries in Africa are the future, because they're the future of mineral beneficiation and everything that goes with that. They are the future of commercial buyers, the shoppers of the future, because this is the young generation that's going to be the economy of the world. But as Sandile was also saying, that you think about how you borrow money to develop those minerals, to develop the access to the continent. We need infrastructure. We need to build roads, we need to build bridges, we need to have huge financial investment to get and extract mining. If we are borrowing that money at a huge cost, and there's no grant funding, or there's no special interest loans or low interest loans, or there's no commitment to actually, as the developed North, we want to make sure that the world is stable and we don't have unstable economies. Those, that's where you find Africa. You find Africa at the cusp of all of those development opportunities, but at the same time, to unlock that benefit, we need to be able to interact with G20 on favorable terms that unlock that potential. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, obviously, the other important thing is that we will have a lot of African leaders. Both the AU and the EU or blocs participate in G20. And the one other advantage is that we're going to be showing ourselves. You know, the delegation of Africa, it's going to be the world seeing the Africa as we are now. You know, there's this perception that we're only rhinos and lions and poverty. And Africa now, as the president often says, is a very different space. Stable democracies. Yes, there are conflicts, but we are solving them as an African continent. So the other area is to demonstrate who we are now and to show that we are very stable, sovereign countries in the world of countries, because that G20 is very much a multilateral structure. In other words, a structure of peers, you know, and that's where Africa comes in. We come in as an equal partner, but a partner with a lot of special developmental needs and opportunities.
Now, Mr. Sona, when you look at the G20, it comes at a time in our country where there's lots of concern about slow economic growth. You think about jobs. You think about today we're talking about AGOA. Yes, the minister says he's optimistic that it will be renewed, but at the same time, you've got these pockets where people are concerned about just their livelihoods, and one wonders, is there any possibility there of unlocking some kind of opportunities and possibly boosting the economy?
Some of the things that a lot of us have not noticed, because I suppose even the journalists don't pull it together, is that there's a lot of different AGOA meetings. Some have been in the Kruger, some have been in Durban, some have been in Polokwane, different disciplines on tourism and different sectors. As I said, there's about 15 different sections. So when people come from different countries and actually experience physically what is going on in the country, that already by itself is the start of investment. So students of that type of thing will tell you that a lot of investment was started by tourism. Right, you'll find, for instance, in East London, Buffalo City, got a lot of German business, but you also got a very high percentage of German tourists. And then they come, they see, and they start liking, they invest. So if you look at just a minimum of 15 different work streams happening in one country, which is South Africa in this case, that is a lot of exposure to the world. But there are learnings that South Africa needs to be there, because you rub shoulders, first of all, with countries with higher GDP growth rates than us, even in that G20, by the way, that are doing a lot of things better than us. Perhaps some of the ministers and some of the government officials who participate can just learn, because a lot of South Africans' problems are just simply by not doing, not that we lack. We just don't do what is there. It's like you can starve while the plate is full of food. That is how stupid South Africa is. We don't lack a lot. What we lack is actually the doing.
So when we come back from the break, I'm going to take Begisisa from KZN. He's our caller. But also, I want us to talk about some of the meetings that would have been had, Michael, because there is work that has already been done. And I think we can take Begisisa now. Am I correct? Begisisa, sawubona? Begisisa? Yebo, ungaqhubeka ba?
Okay. Hayi ufuthi impela lo ngadidwa ile voice ngathi ivoice enhle dadewethu. Cha ngithi angiphawule ngodaba le-G20 sisi. Udaba le-G20 singakujabulela kodwa asikho 100% ngendlela uboli bakulelizwe okungathembakalanga ngayo. Ngoba mhlawumbe uzothola ukuthi into ezothatha imali zezwe, uthola ukuthi izwe ngeke lihlomule lutho abantu base South Africa. Ngoba nangu nobaba Ramaphosa sazathiwa ukuthi kube yena ozophatha i-G20 kwenzela ukuthi evumela abantu bokufika ukuthi bezogcwala ezweni. Akastabulisi nje okwenzakala kulelizwe sisiwami.
Okay. Siyabonga baba, siyabonga. Ngizothanda ukuthi masibuya ke eyitolo ngizokutholela ke impendulo kulokho okushoyo, ngizwe ukuthi ihambeli zethu yithini ngalokho, kodwa I've noted your question and we'll take a short break. Mbukeli unganyakazi. Mbukeli siphinde sikwamukele ohlelweni Asikhulume Let's Talk. Uma ngabe uqeda ukuhlanganyela kanye nathi sikhuluma nge-G20 okuzodingidwa kuyo imphumela, ukubaluleka kwayo kanye nokunye. Mbukeli shayile ucingo sizwe umbuzo noma umbono wakho. Before the break, Mr. Son, I'm going to come to you first. We had Begisisa, who was saying that for him, he believes that the G20, the president was put as a chair, South Africa, of course that is, that we should accept an influx of undocumented migrants who will not leave the country?
The issue of the people who come here for G20, they come from, let's say, the top 20 most successful countries on earth. Most of them with a higher GDP per capita than South Africa in the first place. So South Africa, When you compare South Africa to the world, it is not one of the countries with the highest GDP per capita amongst the successful countries. When you compare it to failures, it may be then a little bit above the ones who are failing too much. So there is no connection between the people who are coming here for G20 and the illegal immigrants. The issue of illegal immigrants is related to the types of things that General Mkhwanazi and General Khumalo are talking about, and General Massimo, where the people who are in charge of the state are not enforcing existing laws of the Republic of South Africa, even to control the borders of South Africa, to control home affairs properly, to make sure that people are getting proper documentation on time. Those who cannot get proper documentation are not allowed into the country.
Okay, let me take Begimpi. Begimpi, sawubona.
Sawubona sisifazana.
Yebo baba, ungaqhubeka.
Yebo, bengicela ukubuza nje la ehambelini zakho ukuthi yini ezosiza thina kuleli izwe leli, especially endaweni zasemakhaya, endaweni zamakhosi, ngoba ngiyathola ukuthi ahlamba amakhosi yonke lento lena abanikazi bomhlaba, abanikazi bezwe. Ngiyathola ukuthi abanephuziwe abazisiwe ngalento lena, ngoba yonke into kufunakala ukuthi mangabe ukuthi iyenziwe iqale emakhosini, amakhosi onke zomhlaba, even the king ibe sithatha yalento ukuthi yini abafuna ukwenziwe endaweni zawo, yabo, ngoba la emadodeni izinto ziyalokhuza, izinto ziyenziwa zibuye khale phansi, zibuye shiswa, kube khona ama-corruption. Ake kuthathe ezinye izinto zenziwe emhlabeni wamakhosi, bonakala ukuthi ama-corruption lawa bazowavuma yini ukuthi enzeke endaweni zasemakhosini, ngoba yonke lento lena ama-corrupt whatever ongakusho, kodwa nje kwenzakalaphi emadrobheni, kodwa endaweni zasemakhaya ukuthi kwakhiwe ama-infrastructure, izinto ezazingenziwe ezangaziwe apartheid emakhaya akiwa kuzona, kucewala endaweni zasemadrobheni, akiwa emakhaya ngoba izona ndawo ezasalele emva ezasemakhaya.
Siyabonga kakhulu baba uBhekimpi. Angeke ngizwe ukuthi ihambeli zethu yithini.
Abavumi ukuya emakhaya beyokhuluma namakhosi, beyokhuluma.
Yebo baba. Okay, siyabonga, sikuzwile kakhulu, siyabonga baba uBhekimpi. I don't know how much of that you were able to grasp, but he's basically saying that it seems that a lot of this stuff happens in the urban areas. A lot of the people in rural areas are left behind.
Well,
and he says, Amakosi don't even know these things and you should be working with them.
Can I just say thank you, Begimpi, for that quick input, because I must say one of the things, Bongi, that our president has been very unique in his presidency about is that we have to make sure that this South African G20, this African G20, is a people's G20. So one of the things that GCIS is doing, where I work, government communications, is our role is to really push the outreach program into communities around the country. So one of the things we've had, there's been 100 meetings already around the country of the G20 itself. But and the president chose that approach to say, we're not going to do these meetings, Begimpi, in Gauteng or in Cape Town or eThekwini. We're going to go to Polokwane. We're going to go to Kruger Park. We're going to go to smaller towns around the city. Last week, Minister Nzimande went right into the deep northern Cape with his delegation of ministers. So two things. Firstly, we've consciously chosen to have the G20 events all over our country, but the outreach program that GCIS is running, we've, through different platforms, community radio talk shows, community hall meetings, activations in town meetings, we've already reached 3 million South Africans through those. And for example, just to give Begimpi a perfect example, a number of those, like in North eThekwini up to Stanger, Amakosi were involved with those. Eastern Cape, a lot of our outreach events that we had, Free State in Tabanchu areas. The people that come to those events, Amakosi, youth leaders, women's formations, etc. So it's been a hallmark of this presidency, that we want to make it a people's G20.
I don't want to get into trouble. Let me pay the bills and we'll come back with our final comments. Mbukeli sesiphethe nje ake sizwe ukuthi ihambeli zethu bona ngokubona kwabo bathi yini imphumela singayilindela. Babusana, you wanted ukuthi uphawule ngamakhosi?
Okokuqala nje uma ubuka amakhosi esinawo njengamanje, ulwazi abanalo ngezombangazwe nokuphathizwe alulingani nolwazi owawungalithola kocetshwayo osikhukhune nabanye. Imfundo abanayo ayilingani nama-challenges ekufanele bawaphendule. Ama-resources, ukunotha kwabo, umcebo abanawo, inkosi nje iyafana nomama ugogo obhuquzayo nje in the villages. Awekho amandla okunotha abanawo bona self. So ukuthi bangathi bazobona benomthelela beneqhaza abalibambayo ku G20 bakude kakhulu kuleyo nto. Asikhulume iqiniso licaca.
Okay. For you, Michael, as a final one, what is your parting shot, especially as far as the G20 is concerned?
So I think the important thing is, Bongiwe, we want to show our visitors that we are a proud nation, we are a world-class nation, we have challenges that we are dealing with, but wherever you encounter visitors in the month of November, even this month where lots of ministers are coming, just give that proud South African hospitality. And also on the website of the G20 for viewers who access the website, www.g20.za. Go and have a look there. You can see there's a survey that we're doing as GSAS, where you can click on the QR code and or you can go onto the site and it allows you to say what you as a person want to say. Okay. So, and we're collecting all those because remember, in November, before the Leaders Summit, there's going to be the Social Summit. And there are many community-based organizations, social organizations there, and the more voices we have, the more it says to those rich nations, as Sandile said, we are people who count. Okay. Let me thank you both for coming in and actually just helping us and the viewers understand what is to come. Mbukeli sibonge kwihambeli zethu Michael Curran, who is Deputy Director General kwa-GCIS, noSandile Swana, Independent Political and Governance Analyst. Sibonge nakuwe Mbukeli ukuthi uhlanganyele kanye nathi. Khumbula ukuthi uma uphuthelo uhlelo liyaphinda kusasa ngehora lesithathu ku-SABC 1 kanti futhi Mbukeli kuze kube ngokuzayo setholakala ku-SABC Plus, setholakala ku-YouTube.